Hello everyone, today is 10th of November. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, today into the GS border we will be taking the Gandhiji's economic idea. Gandhiji says, economy must serve human needs rather than human beings becoming fodder for the GDP. Now guys, when we talk about the Gandhian ethics, then Gandhiji believed into deontological approach to ethics where the human beings have been assumed as an end in themselves. The deontology believes that the human beings cannot be the means for some other kind of objective. Therefore, guys, Gandhiji said that human needs should be the center of concern rather than human beings becoming the fodder. Now, Gandhiji's idea of deontology can also be compared with the German philosopher Immanuel Kant, as he had also talked about the deontological approach to ethics. Now, guys, this particular idea can be used at two places. Number one, into the GS paper number 3, and most importantly, into the GS paper number 4, into the Gandhian ethics. Guys, that's all about this particular thing. And now we will be taking up the newspaper analysis. Now guys, let's see the overview of the articles that we will be discussing up today. Guys, this is the first page of the Hindu newspaper. Guys, here we can see that much important news has not been there. This particular news, it is talking about the new vaccine for the COVID-19 that is being developed by the Pfizer. So they say that the vaccine could be 90% effective. But all these are the speculations, and till the time your exam will be coming, these particular things have been very much useless. Then guys, this particular news item, it pertains to the finance panel's submission of the report onto the state finances. Will be seeing it. Then guys, moving forward, these advertisements are not important. The regional news, it is with respect to the regional issues and then the kind of COVID and all these things. Now we are onto the editorial page. Now guys, this particular article as well as this article, both of them are talking about the Joe Biden's victory. And as I have told you yesterday also, that guys, all these will be the speculations, because until he actually assumes the office, we don't know what will be the direction. However, yesterday only we have taken up what could be the prominent themes which will be coming up. Guys, this particular article, it is talking about the NGT's recent ban to the fireworks. We'll be seeing it. Then guys, this particular article, it is talking below one article is talking about the air quality. We will also be discussing this also. Then guys, this article talks about certain lessons that can be learned from the Vietnam and Bangladesh. We'll also be seeing this one. Then guys, this article is also talking about the challenges which Joe Biden have to face. So guys, are not important. Then guys, moving forward, this entire page is filled with the rising number of cases and the issues towards the south. Some important news has not been there. Then guys, moving forward, so here we can see that the academic credit bank has been discussed, which is being brought as a part of the agricultural education policy. We will see this thing. Then guys, further moving into this particular direction, next is the showcase page, but here nothing important has been carried. Then guys, onto the world page, here we can see that India, Maldives have signed certain MOUs. Then guys, the same Trump issue is going on, not needed to see it. Then guys, onto the business page, we can see that the CCI will be going to probe the Google and abuse of the position by the Google. So we will be seeing what has been given here. After that guys, we'll see certain articles from the PIB. Now into the PIB, much of the important news has not been there today. Guys, here we can see that the 15th Finance Commission has been mentioned, so we will be seeing it. Then guys, one of the some kind of relevant news has been given under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, where the 13th Mobility India Conference on emerging trends in urban mobility has been discussed. Other kinds of news are not that much relevant. So guys, that's all about the important relevant articles, and now let's take up the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, friends, taking up the first news article. So here the Hindu and the PIB article has been clubbed. Now, guys, the Finance Commission had submitted its report to the President of India. Now, talking little bit about on this particular line. So, guys, you might have read into your Lakshmikant that under Article number 280, the President has been given a mandate that he will be appointing a Finance Commission which will recommend that how the pool of tax revenue or how the shareable tax revenue will be distributed between the center and the state. Now guys, when we are talking about the shareable pool, then guys, if suppose 100 rupees tax are coming, then out of this 100 rupees, what money is to be given to the state, what money is to be given to the center, it is decided by the finance commission. Now guys, before this, the 14th finance commission was operational, and now the 15th finance commission has been appointed. Now guys, the 15th finance commission earlier actually gave an interim report for one particular year, that is 2020 to 2021. Guys, it was said by the finance commission that the times are of economic uncertainty, so therefore into the present time giving a 5-year full report will not be suggested. But now guys, the finance commission had submitted its full-fledged 5-year report, which will be governing the share distribution between the center and state from the financial year 2021-2022 to 2025 to 2026. Now guys, as we are talking about the report, guys, it is into the discretion of the president that apart from this particular formula of sharing the tax revenue, he can also give certain other terms of reference to the finance commission, that is they need to suggest the government. Now guys, two terms of reference were given to the finance commission which were very important. That is, it was asked that whether a kind of a new non-lapsable fund can be created for the national security and for the defense purposes. And second term of reference was that whether the states can be given certain performance incentives if they are fulfilling certain of the central government's scheme and all such kind of things. Now guys, this performance incentives becomes even more important, because if I tell you, the India had actually taken the sustainable developmental goals which have to be achieved by 2030, and for achieving these SDGs, actually the state government's performance is very much important. Therefore the performance incentives were being asked. Now guys, on to both of these particular things, the 15th finance commission had submitted their report. Now guys, if I tell you, actually the finance commission of India had submitted the 4 reports, in which the 2 reports pertains to the main recommendations with respect to the share distribution, whereas one report is entirely devoted to the union and one more report is entirely devoted to the state. Now guys, as far as the recommendations are concerned, it is not known till now. Why? Because the report has been submitted to the president. From there the report will be laid into the parliament, and once it will be laid into the parliament, then the report will be made public, and then only we will be able to know that what has been recommended. However guys, according to certain reports, it has actually been said that the share distribution formula between the center and the state will be the same as it was suggested into the interim report. That was the 41% money will be going to the state. Now guys, this particular 41% formula is less than the earlier 42% suggestion which was given into the 14th finance commission, and this 1% recommendation is suggested because guys, earlier the Jammu and Kashmir was also a state, but now the Jammu and Kashmir has been taken the statehood and has been given into the union territory. So on to that particular account, the 41% money is sufficient for the other remaining states. However, the detailed recommendations only when we can know, when the entire detail will be report will be out. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the PIB, and it is actually talking about the Urban Mobility India Conference, which has been inaugurated by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Guys, see this one thing. In our GS paper number 1, there is the topic of the urbanization, and within the urbanization, the urban mobility is a very important component, because the Indian cities are characterized by the clamped spaces, non-livable conditions. And guys, if I tell you, the last 5-year plan which was announced into the India, there was a specific section was devoted onto the urban mobility, and even a question into the UPSC has also been asked. So guys, if you are writing anything into the urbanization, urban mobility happens to be a very important theme, and there such a kind of references can be given which gives a better authenticity to your answers. Now guys, it has been said into this particular conference that some new trends are emerging into the urban mobility, and the future mobility will be driven by certain factors. That is, it needs to be environment friendly, because the number of level of pollution which has been seen into the Indian cities, it has breached all the earlier limits. Then it needs to be integrated which means that the different modes of the transportation needs to get connected with each other. Now guys, into this particular direction, the Kochi government is actually doing a very good work, and on this particular thing we had even take up an article few days back. Then guys, it needs to be automated because now the social distancing and hand hygiene is a very important thing. Then guys, the urban mobility or the mobility mechanisms, they also needs to be personalized, and on demand travel mechanisms also needed to be made so that the ease of living for the citizens can be enhanced. So all these particular things are being considered into this urban mobility India conference. Now guys, government had said that they are actually working on two intelligent transportation system where the app based solutions will be provided to the commuters into the urban cities. Then guys, it has also been said that right now actually, as we are seeing the pandemic and the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has kicked off, now it is the best time that the bold decisions can be taken, and now the time has come that actually such kind of bold things are also needed to be carried into the urban mobility or the smart mobility. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, these two articles have been clubbed. They are taken from the Hindu newspaper, and basically they are talking about the clean air or the air pollution that has become a very big problem recently into the North India. Now guys, what had happened? If we take a primer, the National Green Tribunal had actually banned the burning of the firecrackers onto this Diwali, citing the abnormally bad air quality. Now this poor air quality is considerably there into the NCR. However, in some of the cities where the air quality is moderate, there the permission has been given for burning of the green crackers. Now, this particular action has received the mixed response, as there are certain interest groups, citizens who are happy with this step, whereas other peoples don't feel happy on account of number one, guys, there will be economic considerations will also be involving. There are the people who are involved into the cracker trade, and as earlier the lockdown was there, and now a kind of a double blow has come onto their business because of this particular ban, whereas there are some other people also who basically feel that the joy of the festivity will not be taken up proportionately if the cracker ban will be there. So guys, this particular thing has happened. Now in this particular direction, we can actually say that if the stubble burning would not have been there, then there would have been certain legroom that the crackers might have been allowed, but as the stubble burning has been proportionately high, there is no room for the relaxation. Now guys, if we talk little bit more about the pollution, government had actually said that into the last year there were only 148 days which were having the moderate air quality, and actually guys, government had failed to secure the air quality into the Indian cities. Now this is happening even when government had actually initiated the National Clean Air Program, where it has been said that by 2024 the particulate matter PM's quantity into the air will be reduced by 20 to 30%. A question is coming that how government will be achieving this particular object when year on year the performance has been going very much down. Moreover guys, this particular thing has to be even done by keeping the concern of the workers into the mind who are involved into the fireworks industry. For example guys, Tamil Nadu, the Shivakashi region into the Tamil Nadu is a thriving center for the manufacturing of the crackers, and 2300 crore rupees output is of the Tamil Nadu for the crackers. How these people or the workers will be compensated into this particular direction, it has been said that government should make the payments to these workers via the direct benefit transfer so that their concerns are also taken care of. Now guys, if we talk about the working onto the air pollution, finance ministry this particular year had announced a 4400 crore rupees package for reducing the air pollution in 102 cities. Now this particular announcement, it is a part of the National Clean Air Program, where guys it was said that by 2024 20 to 30% of the pollution or the PM matters quantity is to be reduced. However, if we see that actually how much money has been transferred, then guys, just a few days back it has been came to the news that government had given only half of the money which was originally promised, and that too only to 42 cities against the 102 cities. Government had said that the rest of the money will be given onto the basis of the performances of the different states and the different cities. Now it has been said that actually putting such kind of conditions into such dire situation will not be good, neither it will be desired. Guys, the problems will be coming into such kind of a issue, because first of all, how you will measure the performance of the cities? There are no corrective tool. Even when we are talking about the air quality index, all of the major cities have also not even installed them. Moreover, guys, even the technologies or the way in measuring the pollution, they are also not up to the mark as what the developed countries are using. Then, guys, the next issue comes that what about the states such as Delhi? For example, Delhi's pollution is majorly coming from the stubble burning, which happens into the states such as the Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. So, if the Delhi's pollution is high, whether you will be calling it as a Delhi's fault or the neighbor's fault, so there will be large number of disputes where the states will be saying that their pollution is outcome of some nearby states. Then, guys, it has been said that actually the money which is being given there, the particular portion for the salaries of the manpower who is involved into the cleaning of the environment, they has not been accounted. Rather, they have been given very much small share, but in actual life, much large salaries are to be given for the enforcement workers. So, guys, these are some of the challenges which are coming onto the government's attempt to curb the air pollution, and therefore much more is needed to be done by these rather than these symbolic things. So, guys, this is all about this particular article. Now we'll move into the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about certain of the export strategies that have been taken by the Bangladesh and Vietnam, and what India can learn or what are their shortcomings also. Because whenever we are talking about the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan or the economic revival, often the reference is given of these countries, and with them the India is compared. So we will be seeing it. Now, guys, if actually we see the performance, then Bangladesh had just now become the second largest apparel exporter into the world after the China, and the Vietnam's apparel growth had been 240% into the last 8 years, which is very impressive. Now, guys, it has been said that these countries had got the advantage of many agreements, very many frameworks. For example, if we see the Vietnam, it has signed an open trade policy, a free trade agreement with countries such as the USA, with the European Union, etc. And by it, their products are getting a virtual hassle free entry into those particular countries. And because of the cheap labor was always there into the Vietnam, and single party system was there into the Vietnam, these particular things are giving them a large number of benefits. Then, guys, Vietnam has also taken up various reforms. For example, they have actually changed their domestic laws entirely, and they have turned their country as an investor friendly nation. Now the foreign investors, they can invest into the railways, they can open up the shops in real estate, defense, virtually anywhere they want, they can do this particular thing. And this reform was possible because of the majorly single party system, where the dissent and opposing voices are not that much prominent, and even the citizens voice is not that much prominent. Guys, it has been said that if we see the cumulative benefit which have came to the Vietnam, then in 2010, Vietnam was just exporting the commodities worth $83.5 billion, and in 2019, their export has reached to $279 billion. So this is the impressive growth which has been achieved by the Vietnam. And now, specifically, if we talk about the Bangladesh, then Bangladesh's comparative advantage comes because of the least developed country status which has been given by to the Bangladesh. And because of this particular status, duty free entry of the Bangladeshi products is possible into the countries such as USA as well as into the European countries. Now, guys, it has been said that as the time is passing and Bangladesh's income is increasing, this LDC tag will be exhausted in 7 to 8 years, and then the Bangladesh also needs to pay the custom duties onto their products. But, guys, it has been said that Bangladesh and Vietnam are also focusing onto this particular dimension, and they are making their exports diversified. Now, always it is said that the India should learn from the countries such as Bangladesh and Vietnam. But, guys, if actually we see the India's condition vis-a-vis Bangladesh and Vietnam, then India is a much more complex economy. Now, the economic complexity is measured by the economic complexity index. It means that how many different types of goods and services you are providing. So, guys, on this particular index, China ranks at 32, India ranks at 43, Vietnam ranks at 79, and Bangladesh ranks at 127. Now, though Bangladesh is performing very good, but this 127 rank actually depicts that only few type of commodities are there into Bangladesh which can be exported, and only on them the Bangladesh is dependent. Now, guys, moreover, if we also see the export to GDP ratio, that is that how much of their export sector is big, then guys, into this particular dimension, the export to GDP ratio of Vietnam is 107%. It means that their economy is hugely dependent onto the export, and this thing is not good, because into the conditions of any global meltdown or any depression, recession into the other countries, the Vietnam will be severely impacted. So, guys, therefore, it needs to be relatively low. If you will see the GED ratio of the USA, it is 11.7%. For India, it is 18.7%. For Japan, it is 18.5%. So, guys, actually Indian economy is much more complex by given to their countries. And guys, into this particular dimension, India has one advantage also, that just only few steps it has to taken to increase the quantity. The process is not to be enhanced. Now, guys, what could be the way forward? First of all, India should focus on to the specific sectoral industrial zones. Sectoral industrial zone means that a kind of an industrial zone having an expertise into the shoe manufacturing, some zone into the electronic manufacturing, some zone into the capital good manufacturing. Now, this particular thing will provide a very big ecosystem to similar kind of services into a similar kind of geography. Moreover, as the different industrial sectors in different states are there, on some total, the vibrancy of the Indian export sector will also be maintained. Moreover, guys, into this industrial zone, a kind of a pre-approved factory spaces needed to be provided, so that within the given weeks of time, the industry can start up their production. A kind of a plug and play model needs to be explored, because this can drastically improve the ease of doing business. Now, the China had used this particular strategy, and even the Niti Aayog's action plan had also suggested India to go into this particular dimension. So, guys, all are these the lessons which we can learn from the Vietnam and Bangladesh. So that's it. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article pertains to GS paper number 2, and under the topic of education, we can classify this. Now, it is talking about the National Agricultural Education Policy, which will be soon be coming. Now, guys, agricultural education policy, as the name is saying, it will be more centered onto the agriculture sector. Now, in India, there are 74 universities which are giving the courses into the crop sciences, fisheries, veterinary, dairy farming, etc. Now, guys, as you might be knowing, that few days back, the new education policy of 2020 was announced, but into that particular policy, the agricultural education was not given a very specific mention. So now it has been felt that for this particular sector, a kind of a new policy needs to be framed, and for that particular thing, the working group has been established. Now, guys, this particular draft, whenever it will be prepared, it will be given to the agriculture ministry, and it will be considering what kind of reforms are to be taken forward. Now, it has been said that, and to the lines of the new education policy, multiple entry and exit for these colleges, academic credit bank for these colleges needed also to be made. Now, guys, as a matter of fact, if I tell you, already the agricultural policy in India was much ahead than the other higher educational institutions. For example, guys, the student ready program is going on in the agricultural universities. Now, the ready here stands for the Rural Entrepreneurship Awareness Development Yojana, and it actually provides a 6-month internship to the students into their final year, where they can learn the skills which are actually to be used. So the hands-on training is there. Then, guys, the rural awareness is given to the children or the students, and the research expertise is also taught to them. Now, the new education policy is talking about these things, but already they have been there. But, guys, it has been said that into the coming times, under the challenges of the climate change onto the agriculture and all such kind of things, and even further streamlining is required, which will be given once the report will be submitted. So, guys, as the report will be coming, we will be seeing it, but up till now only this is the matter which is there. So, guys, that's it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article pertains to GS paper number 2, and it is about the India Maldives relation. Now, if you remember, guys, already into the yesterday's article, we have taken up the India Maldives, where I told you that the visit of the foreign secretary was due to the Maldives. Now, guys, as this particular visit has been paid, so 4 MOUs have been signed. Now, 2 of the MOUs pertain to high impact community development projects which can bring the qualitative change into the lives of the people living in Maldives. Then, guys, one MOU is with respect to the sports and youth affairs, and one MOU was with respect to the $100 million grant which has been given by India to the Maldives. Now, guys, if I tell you, government actually promised that a 500 million package will be given to the Maldives so that they can develop their Greater Malay Connectivity Project, and out of that 500, this 400 million has been given. Now, guys, as I have used this GMCP, it is a very ambitious project which will be involving large number of highways, bridges, etc., and they will be connecting the Malay to various other islands. Now, guys, as you know, as you might have seen also, the map of Maldives, it is very much fragmented, and as Malay is the capital as well as the commercial hub, so the much pressure is onto the Malay. Now, by this GMCP, that burden will be distributed across the islands and a kind of a regional development will be coming. Now, guys, this GMCP, it is not only for the Maldives development, rather it is also a kind of a strategic response to the Sina Malay Friendship Bridge, which has been built by the China, and it connects Malay and two other islands. So, to just outshine this particular thing, the GMCP is also being taken up. Now, guys, as I have told you yesterday, that actually the president of Maldives, he is pursuing the India first policy, and India in return also pursues the neighborhood first policy. So, into this particular dimension, these particular things are very much appreciable. So, that's it. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article pertains to the corporate practices, fine, and therefore it is important for our GS paper number 4 as well as for the GS paper number 3. Now, what has actually happened? The Competition Commission of India, it is charging the Google for the abuse of the dominant position. Now, guys, by the way, if I give you some background, the Competition Commission of India has been given a responsibility that no one player should develop a kind of a monopoly and should not abuse the level playing field. Now, it has been said that Google is actually abusing the level playing field, and the charges are particularly because of their app, that is Google Pay or GPay. Now, what actually happens? Now, guys, if you are buying any kind of application from the Google Play Store, there is a kind of an inherent platform that the money can be paid by the GPay. Moreover, guys, one more issue is there, that the GPay app is coming pre-installed onto the Android mobile phones. Now, it has been said that GPay is actually enjoying a kind of a competitive advantage which other apps are not enjoying, and this particular thing is only possible because Google is having so much important stake into the market, and into the long term, such kind of a monopolistic kind of behavior is not good for the free and vibrant competition. So, therefore, CCI is looking to probe the Google's abuse of power. Guys, this particular thing is called as the antitrust laws, and if the Competition Commission of India doesn't finds the Google's response adequate, or if it still doubts that the abuse is there, so the antitrust charges will also be levied onto the Google. So, guys, that's all about this particular article, and as it will be developing, we will be seeing this thing. And moreover, if I tell you, earlier also in many of the lectures I had talked about the antitrust issues, as how in other countries such trend is also becoming very much important. So, guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article.